It's going to be the package from China and maybe the ultimate one. It's the time again. It's time for some Powkiddy. Yep, they have returned with another model. So this is the RGB20 Pro that we're going to be checking out today. So this thing is not like the brand new model. I mean, particularly there are like a gazillion other versions now out there. We do have blue, green and yellow, but I went for the yellow color. I think the aesthetic of the yellow is so cool, man. This is such an interesting device to look at. And let's do a quick unboxing and I will show you what I mean. So, but I was really wondering, it's like, this is Pro. You know, they just love to use Pro Plus, whatever. But yeah, this thing looks so cool. You can actually see like in the inside, like it's guts, you know, it's kind of cool. Having like a battle damage Terminator, you know, stuff like that. So we can even see kind of a part of the internals. That's kind of cool. So the overall design is something that we have seen before. But I think it's interesting that this thing is quite long compared like in or 35 or something like that. But you know, when you're going to be just holding it, I must say that I was surprised about some parts. Like first of all, like it's really comfortable. So I can reach in fairly easy with the back buttons over here. So the back buttons, I must say, they have like a very nice touch, like micro switch. They have like the perfect resistance. And I mean, perfect resistant as like you can just fairly easy put your finger in and just press it or don't accidentally press it. So at the side we're having an on switch, the reset, front facing buttons, the A, B, X and Y. And those are quite big and I love it. You know, the thing I always love to do in these videos is like rub my thumb about it, like against these buttons. And the reason why is very simple, because here you can just actually feel how comfortable it is if you're going to be playing and using multiple buttons. So I must say that they are doing a great job. They have like a very long travel. So over here we have the two joysticks with a click and then select the start micro switch. And it's interesting that they went for the volume control at the front. And the same goes for the speaker. At the bottom we're finding the jack over here, and there is no micro switch or micro SD card at the left over here, but we have one at the right. Let's see what kind of brand they were actually giving us. And they're using the POI. So that's, I'm just be honest, I have no idea if they're like good or bad. I've seen it before, but everything is better than those, let's say, really cheap ones. Let's see, we're having over here the toilet paper metal, like always. This is the deluxe edition. Oh, no, this is not the wrong side. And it will give you like a nice overall, let's say, overview. Like over here having like how the function introduction and everything, like the combination, how you need to make a screenshot. And this is slightly better than everything else. How to install games and of course the cable. However, let's boot it up. The weight itself is very nice. At the top we do find an HDMI out, so let's go onto USB-C ports. So we can use this thing actually like a game console. So let's hold the power button for a couple of seconds and let's see if we can turn it on, if there's any juice inside of this thing. So over here we're having the LED indication that's going to be turned on. So this thing is out of the box, seems to be running on ArcOS, so that's great because ArcOS is absolutely a significant improvement over many other lesser pieces of firmware. I think, was it like the Mio Plus that I actually used that, and I must say that I was really pleased by it. Emulation station, there we go. I love this layout, seriously. Like, let's press start so we can mess around and tinker with all kinds of settings, scrape new pictures if you want to. So it even shows the battery life and everything else. Okay, so we can change out the audio. But so when it comes to playability, so this is not like the most powerful device out there, but we can still play a lot of games when it comes to that. So this is actually a quick overview. Like I'm always doing, I'm just doing a couple of, let's say, systems, particularly when it comes to more demanding ones. And let's see. There's not a picture with everything. And you can rescrape it if you want to, but I think it's not going to be helping with the simple reason. Because some of these, let's say, games are like not like correctly named or there's no picture at all. With the screen, it's going to be perfect for the old school games, think about PlayStation and etc. Starting off with some old school 16-bit. That sounds great. Let's see if we can actually change out the volume inside of the game. Okay, that seems to be working fine. Okay, nice. The audio goes really loud for this tiny speaker in the middle. So when it comes to the pro part with the audio, yeah, that's clear. That is absolutely the case. Let's see how the D-pad just plays for games like this. I really love the feedback of the D-pad when it comes for, let's say, just using left and right in adventure games. Can we switch to the joystick? Yep, we can. But I don't like that, because I am a D-pad gamer. Yeah. Let's see if they mapped the right joystick. Nope, they didn't. Yeah, sometimes they do with this really cheap device that, like the weird shenanigans that we had like the right joystick mapped to the ABHY. That was so weird. But when it comes to that, it's great. Select the start, will give you going back to the main menu. And then, like I mentioned before, in the if you're going to be looking into the manual, you have all kinds of combination for actually getting into, let's say, quick load, quick save, and etc. But let's go and audio test with some Street of Rage. There we go. That sounds good. Let's crank it up. I think there's nothing much to crank up actually. And that sounds weird. Beep, beep. But the overall audio quality is quite nice. I wish they went for a dual speaker. That would be so much better. That like the great overall stereo effect. So the overall quality itself is good, but again, the mono speaker, or at least the tiny speaker in the middle, it's a great positioning because it's actually like blasting the audio towards you, and it's going to be so much better than, I say, most of the devices. So let's move on to some fighting games, simply because I wanted to test the D-pad. And I can tell you that this is absolutely a fun overall experience. We don't need the back buttons. I'm getting my ass kicked over here. But one thing is for sure is that the D-pad is perfect for fighting games. Also for playing some old school games like the Street of Rage. Yep, absolutely amazing. So for the performance, let's check out some PlayStation Portable. You know, where we do have like an overall performance that some of the games will be playable. I think it's going to be in situation that, yeah, you know, we do have like a screen that is more, in my opinion, better for some certain games like PlayStation 1. So you can see that it stutters. So these devices are not perfect for PlayStation Portable. They still add these. I think particularly when it comes for just playing some old school simply games like in, I think it's a Jetpack Joyride, stuff like that. That is possible to actually run, but you can see this particular to the game like Metal Slug is not even running that great. So when it comes to this, yeah, I would not actually buy this for PlayStation Portable. It's fun, it's out there, but no, this is not going to be the overall fun experience. They should, in my opinion, just remove this. So moving up to the N64, another platform that's going to be a hit or miss. Let's try some cruising the world with a simple reason, because when it comes for racing games, this is one of them that runs sometimes okay, to a point that it's going to be playable. Let's see if they mapped the analog stick. Yep, this is actually where we're going to be needing an analog stick. Some of them mapped to the D-pad. But N64, with even cruising the world, we can hear a lot of stutters. So that's quite unfortunate. Well, it does look great and it plays, or at least like when it comes to the resolution and everything, this is kind of cool. You can see the bruises throughout the game, but... So moving to the DS. So the DS is one of those systems that I cannot really enjoy playing, or at least most of the parts, if you're going to be needing both of the freaking... So, sorry, wait. If you're going to be needing both of the displays. But let's say if you're going to be using the back buttons, you can see that we can just switch. So this way it's actually enjoyable to play, but you can hear that it struggles with the Nintendo DS at this point. The same with Cruising the World, where some parts are kind of playable, but when it comes to just some of the freaking parts, it stutters like crazy. But now everything seems to be working just fine. We can use the analog stick, we can use the D-pad. So I think it's going to be another hit or miss when it comes to that. But let's move to the PlayStation, because I think this is just one of those systems you should actually play on the device like this. We do have every single, let's say, button that we're going to be needing with an original controller. So having two joysticks, the D-pad, and even the back buttons. So we can actually play every single game. But yeah, when it comes to performance, it's just running on native resolution, and that is just also fine. let's crank up the volume with the music. Man, Dire Trilogy had some really cool soundtracks. But you know, let's do something fun. Let's connect with the HDMI port and let's see if we can mess around with that. Everything has been connected. Okay, so I'm going to be using an adapter. You have like this mini to HDMI, but nothing works. So what we're going to be needing to do is let's reboot it. Let's see if we can get this going on. Yeah, this is the problem most of the time, that we need to reboot it, or at least get out of the game in this case. And there we go. It looks a little bit messed up. That's one thing. So I think I need to give this thing a complete reset. So let's reset the system. And let's see, we're going to be having something normal going on. But now we had like this very tiny window, so that was not like it's supposed to be. Let's give this thing a full reset. And with the full reset, it seems to be working just fine. So if you want to switch between HDMI out, you need to reset the system itself. So let's boot it up, and there we go. But this is a feature you do see more often with cheaper devices. The overall, let's say, menu looks a little bit pixelated. I'm using like 24 inches now. But if you're going to be looking into, let's say, just playing games on the television, I think it's kind of cool. You have like this, let's say, dual system nowadays. And we can just fairly easy switch to the games. It also automatically goes into like the output of the audio. So that's kind of cool. You find the weirdest things. Street Fighter 2 Recovery. What the heck is that? No idea. Street Fighter, what? You know, we have the weirdest hacked games. Let's see what's going on. I don't see where, like, you can see that Bison is on a different position, but beside that, no idea what they changed out. But it's kind of cool that we do have like original aspect ratio out of the box. Another thing is really enjoyable are the back buttons. Yeah. Whoa, that's what I do. Look like super stuff. Yeah, nothing more there. Okay. Of course, let's try some Twisted Metal 2 with PlayStation. Oh man, this looks really pixelated. I think that's one of the things with the more newer generation, the more powerful, or like the more expensive ones, you can even do a little bit of upscaling, and that is going to be necessary if you're going to be playing this on bigger screens. Or at least that is my opinion about the situation. You know, let's see how this actually works out. Oh yeah, the flexibility of the D-pad is really good. Everything is in here. You can switch weapons. More fire rockets. Let's go. Come on, Sweet Tooth. Rocket Frenzy. Yeah, so this is going to be absolutely an enjoyable situation when it comes to playing some Twist Metal. And you know, I've noticed a lot of these devices that when we're going to be playing, like the back buttons are not like really comfortable. But this, yeah, this is really enjoyable. This would be for me like a great PlayStation 1 portable device. The form factor, comfortability, but also the great D-pad. I love this thing. And if you're going to be switching back, I completely messed it up already because, yep, we're going to be needing to give this thing a reset over here. So the hot swappable situation, now you can pull out the cable and everything, that is not going to be an easy situation, so you need to reset. Let's see what's going on. It does show ArcOS in the corner. That is not like it's supposed to be. Maybe it will automatically adjust himself. Yep, there we go. But there's one thing I wanted to test out, and that's actually the Game Boy Advance, because I did notice with the TV out, I didn't show you in the videos, that I couldn't get this freaking thing to boot up. So let's go to the Game Boy Advance, and let's see what's going on over here. You can use the back buttons to go really easy, go to the different, let's say, the parts of the list. Let's see what's going on. Can I actually boot it up, or was it like an AV out problem? Yeah, so actually I couldn't boot it up in the AV out mode. So that was something I wanted to try. So one thing you need to take consideration with Game Boy Advance, the screen resolution is going to be different. So where I understand it's a little bit wider when it comes to, let's say, the overall resolution of the original Game Boy. But so far, I'm still flabbergasted how beautiful this display looks. With the overflow of different devices, the question remains, can we still justify this product with the price point they're asking for it? simply because this thing looks really cool. It plays amazingly. Maybe I'm a little bit too over positive about this, and when it comes to, let's say, the overall controls, but I am. You know, I'm really satisfied with this overall handheld, and I'm even considering putting this in my private personal collection. However, so the display is great. We have like all the buttons we're going to be needing. I think the D-pad is great for fighting games. It's maybe one of the more like comfortable devices I've seen, and of course it looks pretty cool. But does it justify the price? I think that is one of the biggest problems we're having nowadays when it comes to these devices. Stay there. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think, or do you prefer to buy something else for the same amount of money, because the price is going down with devices that can play all the way up to PlayStation 1, and this thing doesn't really bring something extra to the table with PlayStation Portable, N64 and all the other stuff having a mixed overall performance. Thank you all for watching, and it will be great to see you in the next video.